from Colorado. You see, this typeface is called Joker. And that, of course, is the name that we have in Denver, Colorado, for your national treasure, who is on loan to the Denver Nuggets. So that's Joker. All right. I want you to get used to my voice, but also to bear this important principle in mind. By the way, I come from Brooklyn, New York, so the cowboy hat from Colorado is a bit of a joke itself. If I lose you, or you lose me, either way, if you cannot follow my argument, if I have said something which makes no sense to you, possibly because I've been too fancy with my English, American English, but English, probably not the first language of any of you here. Maybe there is someone who is bilingual. Please stop me. Raise your hand. Shout if you don't have my attention by catching your hand. If I am not clear, I'm wasting all of our time. If I am not communicating, then you're not receiving the communication. So please, make me be clear. Sometimes I use too fancy an English, and those who have learned it very well may not. Some of my English-speaking colleagues are confounded by what I say. Okay. I could have put here, what's so funny? Humor depends upon context. Humor depends upon knowing things and sometimes being surprised. And I'll demonstrate surprise in a moment. But sometimes a surprise, but it's a surprise based upon what you expect. And I'll demonstrate that in just a moment. If you know enough about the context of Roman law and Roman society, as I can convey in a relatively short time this afternoon, you will get the jokes that you see in text from 3 of the funniest plays ever written by the Roman comedian Plautus, who lived from sometime in the 230s or so BC into about 190 BC, all of his plays from the last years of his life. So we'll have evidence of Roman comedy at play for a Roman audience that included the highest people, the patricians, consuls, and magistrates, but also some slaves and freed slaves and people who belonged to the lowest of the social, political, economic class, who were nevertheless free. But free and dependent upon rich people like the older men who populate the ancient tragedy, the ancient comedies. Now, I promise a demonstration. In one of the earlier episodes of Monty Python's Flying Circus, and I hope some of you are familiar with that at least a little bit, there was a scene in which there was a man standing and not doing anything in particular. And then he was threatened by someone making the gestures of martial arts, ready to attack him. And he advanced close to him. And the man standing here looked, drew a gun, and shot him. He fell dead. Now, of course, there are lots of things that we laugh at. I don't know, you didn't laugh very much at that. There are things that we laugh at that sometimes embarrass us. I shouldn't have laughed at that, but I did. And so shooting somebody dead, where you have that obvious advantage of a gun against his arms, fists, or hands like that. Now that, you can say, is a surprise. And it's a bit funny. You didn't expect the man to draw a gun and kill the guy who was threatening him with some mayhem. Roman comedy is often like that, where the person doing this is a clever slave. And all he has is, well, now we're talking about physical possibilities. All he has is his hands and his skill. And skill, cleverness, is essential to a couple of the characters you're going to meet before I'm finished with you this afternoon. And the master has all the power, not, of course, in ancient Roman times, a gun, but he has power enough to torment, to torture, to kill a slave, or to sell the slave into the mines or the mills where his life expectancy would be very short. So he has the power to kill. Sometimes all the slave can do is gesticulate. But the really clever slave, who is hands against gun, can behave like this. Now, the bullet is going to move in slow motion, but this clever slave thinks very fast. When he makes his threats against the master, the owner of the slave, the master draws his gun and shoots. But the clever slave thinks so fast that he ducks, and the bullet goes past him. Another shot, the bullet goes past him. A third shot, the clever slave picks up something, a stone, a piece of metal, a pot or something, and he holds it where the bullet goes. It ricochets and it kills the master, or at least wounds him. That is the kind of mechanism you have in many a Roman comedy, where a clever slave who has no power but his smarts is able to get the better, sometimes using law. And finally, I mentioned law. We're going to see in the next very few minutes, I want to introduce you to some basic facts of Roman law that will, I hope, prepare you to see what is funny in the text that I'll be showing you. Extracts from three of the finest plays by Plautus, who is one of the finest of comic writers. So comical that the two great early modern comedians, Shakespeare, when he was writing comedies, and Molière, took plays of his and adapted them to their circa 1600 or late 1600s audiences. All right, let's go. The evidence is from Plautus's three plays. One of them, the Menaechmus twins, identical twins separated at 7 years of age. The other, Miles Gloriosus, an insufferably vain mercenary commander who thinks he's another Achilles, handsomeness and all. And Pseudolus, that's the title of the play, named after a slave, whose name means something like lying cheat. And he's the supreme clever slave type in what is probably Plautus's masterpiece. Now, there's law of persons, about a household, familia, not exactly family, but familia, which includes slaves, as well as free members and dependents on the master of the house. The male, the supreme male, is called a pater familias, and he has absolute power, originally life or death power, over every member of his family, over his own children, over the slaves. Does that have to be said? Over dependents who are poor free people, but who make their living by doing everything that he asks them to do. He has absolute power over his children. His children have absolutely no legal standing, which doesn't derive from him. The son of a father who is in potestate, in his power, cannot make a contract, cannot give or receive more than trifling amounts of money on his own account. His father might give him some money to use, a kind of allowance, but that never belongs to the son. The father can take it away. The father can deny it. The son cannot incur a debt. The son cannot make a contract of any kind, buying, selling, or the very important oral contract called stipulatio that we'll see at play on the Roman stage in the last extracts that I have. In fact, I'll keep an eye on the time, and I want to be sure that we see what comes from that masterpiece, the third of the three plays that we're going to be looking at. Now, the master is an owner, dominus. He has dominium, which is absolute ownership under the most ancient Roman law, strictum ius. And with that power, he can buy and sell. He can make contracts. He can delegate a slave to act for him as an agent, although it's better if he frees the slave for some reasons. He can use his son as an agent, but they can only be agents. They are extensions of the pater familias, the dominus, the owner. He owns a slave outright, but he has an owner's authority over everyone, including under the older forms of marriage, including over his wife. But marriage is a little bit different. We'll see this here. Now, change of status. When a father dies, his son becomes what's called sui juris. He has his own power over himself. And when that happens, he can engage in contracts and all of those legal things, and he can marry by his own will. Now, there's a gray area of authority when a young man in his father's power wanted to marry. If his father approved, good marriage. If the father didn't approve, questionable. The son could be disinherited. He could be emancipated. We tend to think, at least Americans think, because of the Emancipation Proclamation of Abraham Lincoln in 1863 during the American Civil War, we tend to think of emancipation as freeing a slave. But no, emancipation is freeing or setting loose a child in your power. So if the son wants to marry this bitch, well, let him do it, but I have nothing more to do with him. He is not related to me. He's not going to get anything if I die with a will or without a will. It's about the least property that he has is his name. I can't change his name when I emancipate him. But he will have absolutely no riches that he gets from me. He's going to be a free agent, but he is a free agent without a roof over his head or without a slave. And most of the people in the middle and upper classes had slaves. He is really on his own. So he'd better follow his father's wishes about taking a woman with a dowry. Dowry is a very important matter. And I can't get into that. That would be several minutes that I don't want to invest right now. But you don't want one of Plautus's other plays, not one of the ones that I'm talking about today, but one of Plautus's other plays is about a man who found a pot of gold. That's usually the translation of the Aulularia in English title. He found a pot of gold, but he's been so poor for all of his life that he didn't want to spend a single piece of gold for his daughter's dowry. And he could afford a great one, but he would not. Molière wrote a play, L'Avare, on this sorry man who had been so poor, suddenly became rich, and didn't want to spend, well, a numus, a coin, gold or silver. So you do not want to marry a girl, or rather you want to marry, but you better not choose one who doesn't have a dowry. Whereas a woman with a dowry is a prize. Your father and his father, you're a son now, your father and his father make a deal. They may be partners in politics, partners in business, partners in some craft. But they make a deal, and between them, they have a match. We find some marriages in place in some of the comedies, but in one that we're going to talk about, or I'll talk about, probably have to go through that one pretty quickly. It is the matter of a woman who pretends to be a wealthy, dowered woman who owns a house in which she and her husband live. And who can kick him out at any point she likes, because in Roman matrimonium librum, marriage existed only as long as both parties wanted to be married. When they wanted to be married, they could be subject to the limitations of the father of the woman, but even the father of the bridegroom. This woman pretends. She's actually a freelance prostitute, but she pretends to be the married wife of a rich man living in the rich man's house, which the miles gloriosus, the boastful soldier, wants to live in with her, who is supposed to be the owner of the house, or the dowry is not exactly what a woman owns. And the importance of free marriage, of being able to discard a wife, we'll see that in the first play that we read, or that you'll sample. If a woman lives in a house that belongs to her dowry, and her husband lives there, she can kick him out. Now, a woman wants to do that in the first play we read. She wants to do that, but her father isn't so sure that he wants her to leave a rich, powerful man's marriage without suffering loss of the dowry. If a woman initiated a divorce, or her father let her divorce, some of the dowry would stay with the husband. It's only if he is at fault, and that's a discussion that she and her old father have during the course of the Menachmus twins. But all right, let's get a little bit further. Now, I've mentioned, the oral contract. There is a kind of sacred fides. The word is translated sometimes faith, loyalty, trustworthiness, honor, that is expected of a person who will be literally a man, and it's men making these contracts. If a woman has to make a contract, she does it through a man. So a man asks a question, will you give, and then a specified amount of money, usually, although it could be some concrete object, will you give to another man who has the power to contract, will you give whatever the amount is? And the other person says, I will give, or it will be given. And those words bind them. They bind the person who has said, will you give, to receive it, and permit him to receive nothing less. He's got to receive what's promised. But the person who has said, I will give, or it will be given, which amounts to the same thing if he says it, he is bound to give that, nothing less, and why ever would he want to give something more? Now, if it's just two people speaking, you really have to depend upon a person's trustworthiness, his sense of honor as a man of his word. But if there's a witness, and we'll see in a couple of instances that there is a witness, someone who makes a promise that was based upon his misunderstanding of circumstances, but is still bound to pay what he has said, I will pay or will be paid. He is bound, and if he tries to deny that he ever said, I will give or it will be given, there's a witness. And not only will he be condemned to pay, sometimes with damages on top, condemned to pay what he promised to pay, but he will lose some civil or civic rights. He will be marked as a person who is mala fides, has bad faith rather than good faith. The very last thing we'll see, if I can get to it without keeping you here too long, the very last thing we're going to see is a joke about a very bad man, a very bad man's fides. He is asked innocently before he realizes the catastrophe that's about to befall him. He is asked about something he has just said based on a terrible misunderstanding because his clever slave has outsmarted him. He said, well, the other person, the person to whom he has promised an amount of money, says, are you sure of this? Bona fide. Is this on your honor? Is this a truthful statement? And he says, where are you going to find good honor in me? He's a pimp, a dealer in slaves. He'll break contracts left and right and somehow wheedle out of any liability. Okay, let's look at some text. Law of obligations, debt, selling and buying, the oral contract I've already mentioned. Young men cannot undertake, take on, incur an actionable debt if the father has not approved it. And we see young man after young man who wants to marry a girl without a dowry, the father will forbid that, or wants to buy a slave, free her and make her his mate, or wants to marry a freelance prostitute and raise her by a marriage that her father will. Her father is probably nobody. She may not know who her father is, but his father is not going to say, "You're not going to marry her. You're going to marry somebody of our status, and you're going to marry somebody who is going to bring you a dowry." This person brings nothing but sexual possibilities. Okay. First play, the Menachmus twins. Cynics, he has no personal name any more than his daughter has a personal name. She's conjugs. She's wife. She's wife of one guy named Menachmus. And she has been offended both by him and by his twin, who has shown up in the city of Epidamnus where the play is set. And by misunderstandings on the part of the Menachmus, who has never met her before, and by some rather nasty immorality of her husband. And there's a dysfunctional marriage there. But her father, when she complains to him, he's called cynics here, just old man. Her father says, well, he gives you everything that you need. And you should put up with him. And if you keep complaining about him, you will drive him away. You complain now that he's spending a lot of time with a prostitute. Well, he's going to spend more time with her and come home maybe only to collect the laundered clothing that you have supervised the slaves to prepare for him. Okay, Cynics now has become frightened of his son-in-law. His son-in-law has pretended madness, violent madness. And Cynics retreats. He calls a physician, a medicus, and says, take care of my son-in-law. He is mad. And the doctor is unwilling to confront this guy who is essentially waving a gun. He would be doing that in our society now, waving a gun or waving a sword or something, and is threatening him. So the old man goes and gets 4 big slaves to arrest, or rather to straitjacket his son-in-law and take him to the doctor for a cure. So that's what's going on here. I'm ordering you by the gods and men to follow my command wisely. What I have commanded and what I am commanding. Make sure that that's the wrong Menachmus, because the Menachmus who's arrived from abroad is confused by his girlfriend, his prostitute girlfriend, by his wife, by other people in the play, with the one who lives there, who is married to Conjunx, the son-in-law of Senex. So this guy, he has blundered into the scene. His guilty brother, who pretended madness and who has actually been doing all kinds of nasty criminal or subcriminal things to offend his wife, he's gone. He pretended to be mad. He ran off, and his twin brother comes back, and suddenly there are 4 burly slaves attacking him. That's the situation. He is being confused with his twin brother, and he knows nothing about being mad. He hasn't pretended to be mad, but suddenly he's treated like a madman. Why are you standing around? Why are you hesitating? By now, he ought to have been carried off. I'll go to the doctor. I'll be there when you come. Then, Menachmus of Syracuse. The setting is Epidamnus, which is on the Adriatic Sea. But he comes from Syracuse, Sicily, some distance from there. He has come looking for his twin brother. He knows that he lost a twin brother or his family lost a twin brother when they were both 7 years old. So he is looking all over the Greek-speaking world. He's been looking for his twin brother. He has finally arrived there and is confused with his brother because they are identical twins, not only when they were 7-year-olds, but now that they are probably well into their 20s. He's wandered into this. He has met Conjunx, who gives him hell, thinking that he is his twin. And he doesn't know why she is so angry with him, nor does he know exactly why his girlfriend treats him so nicely, to a good meal and to some sex afterwards, thinking that it's his twin who lives in this place. Well, so this guy he's actually had sex with his brother's girlfriend and a good feed while his brother was occupied downtown on some unpleasant business. Menachmus, he sees the slaves beginning to carry him off. I'm dead. What business is this? Why are those men running toward me, please? What do you want? What are you looking for? Why are you surrounding me? Where are you dragging me? Where are you carrying me? I'm done for. I implore your protection. It's a standing phrase in Latin. Per fidem vostram. I appeal to your honor. Anybody who can hear. I appeal to your fides. See, that's that word fides, which can be translated by even 2 or 3 different words. Your sense of honor, your sense of being free persons. I implore you to help me. Your protection, citizens of Epidamnus, why won't you let me go? Messenio, he is the slave of the Syracusan Epidamnus, who has just arrived today. And he doesn't know who Senex is, he doesn't know who these slaves are, but he thinks his master, it's his master's twin, but he sees his master being attacked by the slaves. Would anyone bring me help? Okay, what must I see with my eyes? Some people are carrying off my master in a most shameful way. Would anyone bring me help? Yes, master. He addresses the wrong Menachmus as master because he's identical to his real master.
Excuse me?
Yeah.
So I didn't really understand the situation. So who is being carried off right now?
Who is being carried off right now is the Epidamnus who's just arrived today.
Okay, so the slave is seeing his rightful master being carried off.
No, he is seeing his master's twin. The slave comes from Syracuse. This guy has been living at Epidamnus since he was 7 years old. But he sees what looks like his master being carried off. And Well, you'll see how this proceeds as we get a little bit further into the text. But I want everybody to be clear on this. This slave is the slave of the Menaechmus who just arrived today and doesn't know who his wife is, who says that she is when she sees him, but is welcomed by his local brother's prostitute, whom he treats very well because he's a wealthy man. So that's the circumstance. The loyal slave is loyal to the wrong twin. And a battle goes on. I'm going to have to shorten this, but you will be able to see, as you see he came to you a free man. And of course he means his master, the one from Syracuse. You see master. Okay, I'll go back a little bit here. May the gods always bless you, young man. He doesn't recognize him even as a slave. That, by the way, says something about the kind of slave that Messinio is. He is not obviously dressed or even with a haircut of a slave. So, young man, may the gods always bless you, whoever you are. If it hadn't been for you, I'd never have lived till sunset today. Then if you were to do the right thing, master, you'd set me free. I should free you? Yes, since I've saved you, master. What's that, young man? You're mistaken. What? I'm mistaken? I swear by Father Jupiter that I'm not your master. I'm not lying. My slave has never done anything of the sort you did for me. Then let me go off like this as a free man if you say I don't belong to you. As far as I'm concerned, you can be free. This kind of language spoken to a slave is an informal manumission, sending of a slave from his owner's ownership. There are different formulas for it, but the gist of it is that Messinio thinks his master is setting him free at this point. He's going to be disappointed later. As far as I'm concerned, you can be free and go where you wish. Go where you wish is part of the formula of freeing a slave. Be free. Go where you wish. Those are the usual expressions for the on-the-spot manumission of a slave, although there would be formalities, so the manumission is registered with the authorities, and there might even be a tax on the manumission of a slave. Are you telling me to do so? To go where you wish. That's the word spoken to, at this moment, freed slave. Yes, if I have any authority over you. He doesn't use the word dominium. It doesn't fit. He uses the word imperium, which is a more political term. Greetings, my patron. When a slave was freed, his owner became patronus, and he became a particular kind of client dependent upon him. Greetings, my patron, shaking his own hand. Messinio, I'm happy you're free. I'm sure you mean it. There's going to be something like this later in the play. But my patron, I ask you not to command me any less than when I was your slave. I'll live with you, and when you go home, I'll go together with you. And Menaechmus of Epidamnus thinks that everybody in this city is crazy. And he doesn't want this crazy person who thinks that he's his master, to whom he is grateful, but he doesn't want this crazy person who's in fact shown how physically strong he is. It could be dangerous in a household if he's as mad as everybody else. A lot of the rest of the play is the discovery that when the two Menaechmi are on stage, Messinio, the clever slave, gets confused between the two of them. But he finally sorts out which one was originally named Sophocles and which one was originally named Menaechmus. Now, why Sophocles became Menaechmus is explained in the prologue of the play, and I'm not going to give you the prologue of the play. But it is discovered that the two Menaechmi are the twins. The twin who's lived here at Epidamnus for all his life, but he remembers a brother, and the brother who has spent most of his adult life looking for his brother. He got named Menechmus because the other brother named Menechmus originally, who keeps the name, was so dear to the grandfather. He just wanted the name Menechmus. It's probably in the family in rotation. He wanted that name to be his one and only grandson. There was no guarantee they'd ever get the one who was caught in a holiday crowd, could have been caught by pirates. He had no idea where he went. Okay. To his now recognized brother, I'm really happy if something good came your way because of me. Remember, the arriving brother had a very nice afternoon with the Meretrix. She doesn't have a name either. She's a prostitute who belonged to, well, does a prostitute belong to the John, who belonged to his brother. So Messinio, to Menechmus of Syracuse, and that's his true master. Now he's sorted this out, and he knows that this one is his master, and the other one is the one he saved. Messinio, do you have any objections against me being free as you said I should be? Spoken to Epidamnus, that's the local one whose life he saved. And so Menechmus of Syracuse says, Menechmus of Epidamnus says, what is absolutely good and fair. Good and fair. Bonus et aequus is a very important phrase in Roman law. It was what was used by the Praetorian edict to modify the super strict, the harsh rule of law going back to the 12 tables in the 5th century BC. So when a person was on trial for an accusation by somebody else, the instruction to the arbiter or to the panel of judicas, of judges, was if it is good and fair, or I'm saying if it is fair and good, ex aequo et bono, that you should do this, you should make this award, or you should deny this claim. So this is court language, absolutely good and fair. Do it for my sake. And then he says, liber esto, the magic words. And here there's a witness. And I'm happy that you're free, Messinio. So the guy whose life he saves congratulates him on being free at his brother's command, but at the urging of the one whose life was saved. But I need a better omen in order to be free for good. And this... Okay. My brother, since this went according to our wishes, let's both return to our country. My brother, I'll do as you wish. I'll hold an auction. First time, by the way, either one of them is able to say my brother to anybody since they were 7 years old. My brother, do as you wish. I'll hold an auction here and sell whatever there is to sell. Now, in the meantime, let's go inside, my brother. Yes. Do you two know what I'm asking for? No. What is it? Let me be the auctioneer. So do you want the auction to be announced now? Yes. It's to be in 6 days. Loudly to the audience. You're now the audience in the Roman theater. The auction of Menechmus will take place very early in 6 days. Slaves will be on sale. Furniture, country estates, the house, everything. This will be on sale for whatever price it fetches in cash, because they're going to be leaving on the next ship bound home. There will also be on sale a wife, if any buyer comes. Now you can't sell your wife. This is a joke. It's rather a nasty joke. The Romans would probably have laughed, even as they laughed at some physical abuse that takes place on stage in Plautus comedy. Now, I see what time it is. We're not going to be able to deal with the middle one of the plays. I already mentioned something about that. There is a woman who is being held as a slave. She was captured by pirates and given to the soldier as a slave. And I'll call him the soldier. It's Pyrgo Polynices. It takes too long to say his name, so I'll just call him soldier. Given to the soldier, and the soldier has her as his concubine, and she is presumably, as these women always are, played by men, but with pretty masks. She's beautiful, and he is very jealous to have such a beautiful slave. Her boyfriend from Athens, she's actually a free woman of low class, but a free woman. Her boyfriend from Athens has arrived, and he's in communication with his slave, who was taken by the soldier as a slave, and who immediately recognized, what coincidence, really immediately recognized his master's, his true master, his Athenian master's girlfriend. Well, they plot to get the soldier to pretend that he can marry a very beautiful woman who is extremely rich as well as extremely beautiful, in whose house her husband lives. And the intrigue suggests she's kicked her husband out. Her husband's never going to come back. And she wants the soldier to come in and be her husband. And if she wants to be married and he wants to be married, that's it. They're married. Unfortunately, she does not really want to be married. She wants to lure him into a place where he's going to be threatened with castration. But we better skip past all of the palestrio stuff. Nope, too far. Okay. He has a young master who loves a girl who is a slave owned by a pimp named Ballio. And the boy has asked in desperation for help in somehow getting her from the pimp. And now there's some urgency to it because a soldier, we never meet him, only his orderly, a soldier has put a down payment on her. And today is the day that the soldier himself or an agent of his should show up, completing the purchase price, and to collect the girl. Her name is Phoenicium, translated rosy because of the rose color of that dye in ancient times. So now we got to hurry. We've got to get some money together. But I can't borrow any more money from my friends because remember what I said before. You cannot take a young man in power, in his father's power, to court for what you have loaned him without his father's consent. It's void. It's not a contract. You have lost your money because you didn't check to see whether this boy is acting as his father's agent. If he's on his own, well, he's really on his own. And he might actually be hauled off until his debt is paid. And then the father is going to have the embarrassment of a son in jail or in private kind of slavery or paying a debt. And the son, of course, is not going to have a very pleasant time with his father after that. Well, I expect to find financial help for you from somewhere today, either through my good effort or lifting up his left hand, used for stealing. I'm left-handed. I don't like that idea. And I don't know where I should say it'll come from, except that it will come. That's how my eyebrow is twitching. If only your deeds support the words you speak. All hopes for my life lie in you now. Is it enough, Pseudolus, the wonderful, clever slave, says, if I bring about that this woman, that's the girl that the soldier is supposed to collect today, is yours today, or if I give you 20 minas. 20 minas is the purchase price for the girl. That's a lot of money. That's a third of a talent. It's probably about 15 or 20 pounds of silver. Each mina is 100 days' pay, 100 drachmae. Yes, if it's going to happen. Ask me for 20 minas so you know that I'm going to do what I promised you. Ask me, please do. I'm keen to promise it. He's a slave. Slave can't contract except as an agent of his owner. And his owner is the boy's father, who certainly doesn't want a boy to buy a slave to be his concubine, maybe to be freed and to be his wife without a dowry. Will you give me 20 silver minas today? I will give them. Okay, so you understand what kind of joking this is. Neither of them is competent to make any kind of contract, but Pseudolus wants to play. This is play. He wants to play master and let the young master pretend that he is on his own, emancipated, or his father deceased, and so he can make contracts. So this is called a stipulation, or stipulatio in Latin, if you want to be fancy. Will you give me? Yes, I will give them. Now, don't be a nuisance to me, and I'm telling you in advance, so don't deny that you've been told. If I can't cheat anyone else, I'll cheat your father. And you'll see that Pseudolus and the father become in the play. I'll cheat your father, and may the gods always keep you safe from me. That sounds like a holy prayer. But if possible, for the sake of filial duty, what sarcasm here, you can even cheat my mother as well. Now, skipping into a middle part of the play. Here you go, this neighbor of yours, the pimp. This is Pseudolus. I will wittily swindle him out of that flute girl. That's the slave. Very often, almost like geisha. These slaves were talented. They could sing, they could dance, as well as perform what concubines and prostitutes do. What's that? Swindle him out using trickery and clever guiles. What's that? Simo says. I'll bring both things about by this evening. Two things. Swindle Ballio and get the girl free so that at no cost to Simo, the father, his son may have some fun sowing his wild oats until his father makes a marriage for him with somebody of their class who brings a dowry. If you succeed in these works as you announce, you'll surpass King Agathocles, who was a famous warlord, in daring do and bravery. But if you don't, do you have any objection to me putting you in the mill at once? And work in the mill, work in the mines, because of the dust, whether it's the dust from the grinding grain or the dust from the mining, stone dust, mineral dust, some of it poisonous, that you would inhale until finally your lungs are so full that you can't exhale. Inhale, exhale, you're dead. There's a way of killing somebody slowly, painfully, but getting a little price. You sell them to the mines cheap, but you get something instead of just killing him yourself and having a dead body to dispose of. Not for a single day, but for all eternity. But if I succeed, will you give me the money to give to the pimp at once and out of your own volition? Calipho, he's a rich friend. He likes the son, but he's an old friend of the father, says, what Pseudolus asks is only fair. There's that word fair again. Say, I shall give it. He never actually does, but he implies by the end of the scene that he has made the promise. Simo, but he tries to be clever. He knows that Pseudolus is clever, and he's afraid he'll be outsmarted by Pseudolus, as he will be. He's in fact warned. Pseudolus says, I'm going to get it from you, and I'm going to trick the pimp too. And if you don't believe it, well, if I do it, will you give me the money to buy the pimp? And not to buy the pimp, buy the girl from the pimp. And Simon said, well, do you know what occurs to me? If they've come to an arrangement with each other, Calipho, or acting on a previous agreement with their patched up tricks so as to trick me out of my money, he's cautious. He thinks he's cautious. Pseudolus would be bolder than me if I dared to do such a deed. No, listen to me, Simo. If we've ever made an agreement or hatched a plan, or if we've ever come together concerning this matter, you can scribble all over me with writing instruments of elm. There'll be elm sticks, flexible elm sticks that were used to giving floggings. So you can flog me so that you have the whole alphabet on my back. Let the games begin. That's Ludi. And Ludi is an interesting kind of meta-theatrical circumstance, because all of these plays were performed at Ludi, the games, the great games of several goddesses, and sometimes funeral games. So let the games begin. Well, the games have already begun. This play has been on for a while, and it's part of the games, the literal games, that included dramatic as well as athletic events. Let the games begin now as soon as you please. For this day, Calipho, please be at my disposal so you won't busy yourself with any other undertaking. I've already decided yesterday, I already decided to go to my country estate. Now I've decided not to go away because of what you say. I'm keen to watch your games, Pseudolus. And if I see that he doesn't give you the money he said he would, I'll give it to you myself rather than that it shouldn't happen at all. this is a kind of ad stipulatio. So he is adding himself to the promise. So if the person who made the first promise is like a cosigner on a loan, if the person who's made the promise defaults, then he's taking responsibility to pay. But remember, Pseudolus can't make a contract with anybody. He can't hold anybody to a promise, his master or his master's buddy from across the street. He can't do that because he can't appear in court. He's not a legal person at all. And now Simo says, and this reinforces the stipulation, I won't go back on my word, but so confident is he that he has outsmarted Pseudolus. Yes, if you don't give it, you'll be dunned. And there's a practice called flagitatio, where if somebody owes you money, you stand outside his house and you howl to anybody in the street who will listen to you. And sometimes these guys put on a good show. This guy owes me 20 minae. I'm sorry, I gave it the Latin plural. Minas in the translation we have. All of these, by the way, are translated in the Loeb Classical Series with Latin and English on facing pages by someone called Wolfgang de Mello. It's not the best of the translations in the Loeb series. The Terence ones are better, the other comedian. But, okay. You'll be done. That's to say, I will make a public spectacle of you. And what a slave can do is that. What a slave can do is that. He can say, he promised that he was going to give it to me, and he didn't give it to me. And never mind, this is not the court, this is the streets. But you can make somebody infamous. And that's a pretty important status in Roman society. Infamous by making clear that he doesn't keep to his word. Okay, now, this is the great scene. And we cut off, in fact, before the wonderful moment of recognition when Ballio realizes that the person he's going to mention in what you'll hear now in the next few minutes, that the person who took the girl and left a little bit of money, the 5 minae, that's all that's left of the 20 of the purchase price, that he gave 5 minae and he gave a token, but it wasn't the soldier's orderly. It was a friend, another slave called Monkey of Pseudolus. Slaves have their friendships from different households. So we don't see the wonderful recognition when Ballio says, well, describe the person you say came from the soldier to bring all the proof of the contract and to hand the girl over to you. And describe him, well, he had red hair, and he was pretty fat, and he had big feet. And big feet identified Pseudolus to the now completely deceived. But he's obligated. He made a promise to pay the 20 minae. Oh, lucky man, give me your lucky hand. What's the matter? Now, what now? There's nothing for you to be afraid of. Then what good news do you have? The 20 minas of yours, which Pseudolus undertook to get from you today, that was the preceding scene, are safe and sound. I hope so. Ask for 20 minas from me. There, now, here's Ballio volunteering. In case he's got hold of that woman today, or in case he'll give her to your son today, as he promised. Okay, so if somehow Calidorus has the girl, he's had her for half an hour at least, or in case you'll give her to your son today. Okay, so Ballio will give her to Pseudolus, which he does, big feet. Please ask for them. I'm keen to promise, so I really want to undertake a stipulatio, a binding oral promise, so you may know absolutely that your money is safe, and you can also have that woman as a present. Okay, so this is all oral contract. As far as I know, there's no risk in making a stipulation the way that you said the words. Will you give me 20 minas? Yes, they will be given, and I'll throw the girl in for free. That's all okay, but have you met him? Yes, in fact, both at the same time. What does he say? What's his story? Please, what did he tell you? Stage rubbish, the words which are normally said to a pimp in comedies, little meta-theatrical play there, and which even children know. He said that I'm a crook and a criminal and a perjurer. He didn't lie. Well, that's why I wasn't angry. Well, what advantage is there in speaking abusively to a man who thinks nothing of it and doesn't deny the charge? Well then, why shouldn't I be afraid of him? That's what I'm keen to hear. Because he'll never take the woman away from me now, and he can't. Do you remember me telling you a while ago that she'd been sold to a Macedonian soldier? Well, his slave brought the money here to me and the sealed token, which Pseudolus got away from the soldier's orderly. And then they dressed up somebody as a soldier to take the money, which had been agreed on between me and the soldier. He took the woman away with him not long ago. Are you saying that, this is the end, are you saying that in good faith, bona fide? It's a little bit out of the normal course of dialogue at this point, but again, a bit of Roman law. And it's not just, you have a nice reputation, but if you have mala fides, your power is to make contracts and to do certain things, certainly not to hold public office, are all gone. That's it. It's a shame we didn't get to meet the Miles Gloriosus, the boy who thinks that all the women in the world love him and every one of them despises him, and the one who tricks him into thinking that she is a rich wife instead of a beautiful prostitute is also something special. In fact, against the poor soldier, there are 3 women and 2 slaves who conspire. And he's pretty stupid himself. He's not cautious about anything. But I'm done. I'm done with you, so you can go. Questions, objections, or you want something restated? I'll be happy to do that. Let me have some of this water that's been sitting here.
Just a comment, when it comes to surprise, you surprised me by starting because I was going to come back and announce you. I was just going to flashback to Professor Poloyets, but I think you just met Professor Castellani at his best, and you'll see him again on Friday when we have a simulation of Greek law, and some of you, of course, know him from earlier years. He's an old friend of ours, so if anyone has any questions, please go ahead.
Yeah.
Just please turn on the microphone so the people following online could hear us too.
This one.
All right. So the 2 brothers in the first play that we read. So one of them is a bad person and one of them is a good person.
Each is bad in a different way. Well, they're twins. They're morally twins. In one translation that I was using to prepare this before I went to the Loeb Latin and the Loeb translation by De Mello, says that there's a big difference between the character of the 2 of them. Yes and no. One has had a very good life where he was raised by a man who felt sorry for him and had no son of his own. He was adopted, apparently under the law of Epidamus. He could do this. He was adopted, made into his son, his heir. He didn't take his name after his father. He kept his name Meneichmus, which was his given name. Remember, the one in Syracuse was once Sosicles, but then he becomes Meneichmus because the grandfather wanted to keep that name in the family. So the local one cheats on his wife. He even steals. The very first we meet him, he has stolen a gown that he gave to his wife, and then he brings it to the prostitute. He's also stolen some jewelry from his wife and has given them to the prostitute. Now, were those part of his dowry, her dowry? No. They were certainly gifts that he gave her against the law. Roman law prevented gifts between spouses. little things, but nothing as valuable as this gown that he's stolen, which apparently is worth, or is it 4 minae? That would be 400 days' pay. Okay, so this is a pretty fancy thing, probably some gold and jewels on it. So he has treated her very badly. And he makes clear his contempt for her. He even speaks his contempt when he is aware that she's eavesdropping, is listening to him. So he is a bad husband. He lives the double standard in a particularly heinous, atrocious way. His brother, when his brother arrives, he doesn't know what this crazy woman wants, who wants him to come for lunch and then to go to bed with. But, well, it's not costing me anything. He's given his money bags to Messinio. Messinio is a very good, loyal, trustworthy slave. Not a clever, conniving one, but one who really is planning his campaign, leading toward his liberation, his manumission, which he actually effects by the end of the play. So Messinio has gotten all the cash that they have. So the woman can't steal his purse. The woman can't do anything to him. And, of course, you trust prostitutes sometimes not to be the most honest people in the world. So he is he's taking advantage of somebody else's girlfriend, but she's crazy. She thinks she knows his name. How does she know his name? And Messinio has an explanation for that. As soon as people land, there's spies. The prostitutes send out spies to get the guy's name. And also to find out how wealthy he is. And remember, he had a big bag of money. Messinio says it's too small, but it's a big bag of money that Messinio takes away. So both of them are bad. I don't know. We can probably identify with each of them to a certain extent. And if we do, we should be embarrassed. So, yeah, I wouldn't say one is good, one is bad. They may actually, once they are together, become good. Yeah, once they get home.
That was what I wanted to know. Is it like, because in the end we see a pretty relieving end, like, can it be said that people both turn to good guys in the end?
Yeah, they do seem, once they are together, to be better than either was apart. Separated not at birth, but at age 6. Because the Romans counted a person as 1 year old when he was born, or she was born. So 7 years is actually 6 years old, but they could remember that they were twins, and they were presumably playmates for the first years of their lives, inseparable as twins often are. Okay, that's a wonderful. That play was the foundation of Shakespeare's Comedy of Errors, although he also took a doubling of slaves from another play of Plautus, the mythological one, Amphitryo. Okay, anybody else have something? Okay.
Professor.
Vladimir, if you can try in English.
Molim vas, Nina, ako prijevoda samo.
Okay, I'll translate. Okay.
Profesore, prvo sjajno predavanje i jedno pitanje. Imate li u tom pravcu kakvu nameru da pišete kakvu publikaciju i novu temu? Mislim na prava žene, brak, porodica i u vezi predavanja. Kakva publikacija, monografija? U tom pravcu nešto.
So Vladimir is listening to us from Montenegro. He says he loved the lecture and he asks if you have written or are writing something on this, particularly the questions on family law, the status of women, and so on.
In the English version of the law annals of Pravni Fakultet, I have an article, and it's called Roman Comedy in Law. And it deals with some of this stuff. Now, that was published probably 10 years ago, or close to. And I've been lecturing about this stuff to classes when I've had the chance, and abroad. So this is not exactly the way I presented the matter in the article, but there is an article in English, and I could probably find the bibliographic information in a moment or two.
If it's in the annals, we'll find it. I remember you have it. We'll find it and send it to Vladimir. No problem.
Yeah, it'd only take me a couple of keystrokes here, I think.
Thank you very much, Professor.
Well, thank you all for your attention. But you did find it. I warned you that if a joke has to be explained, if a joke has to be explained afterward, it's worse maybe than explaining it before. But if you're inoculated against a certain kind of play, of foolery, then you're waiting for it, and maybe it was disappointing. I'll tell you, it's very funny in the Latin. Worth learning Latin.
Well,
anything else? Again, I thank you for your attention, and I hope, and I'm sure that there are good translations of these plays of Plautus, and other plays of Plautus. The one called Aulularia, Pot of Gold in English. That's a good one. That's one so good that Moliere decided to elaborate it with a secondary plot and all kinds of subordinate characters. But it's actually one of Moliere's most famous plays. And one of the things that he got from Plautus was this guy Euclio. He's the poor guy who suddenly has a pot of gold. And he finds that there is a gentleman who wants to marry his daughter. And he is so much in love with her that he will marry her sans dos. Sans dos. Sans dos. It's a refrain. Plautus has that in a couple of places. And Moliere used it in a couple of places too. Probably his masterpiece, Tartuffe, has what about Tartuffe? What about Tartuffe? What about Tartuffe? The guy's wife, I forget the guy's name. The guy's wife is sick, and he asks about Tartuffe, which is a kind of super parasite, a character that you get from Plautus and Terence both. But I'll have to let it go there. But yeah. These plays are good, and they depend, however, upon what Plautus did not write. Plautus did not write stage directions. So such stage directions as you saw in the De Mello translations are all his construction on the basis of what the script says. He determines what ought to be happening. We'll never know for sure the effect of these. Some, by the way, some of the lines are sung. We don't know what the songs were like. Probably sung and danced to. We are missing that, but some of the jokes are very good. A favorite one of mine is in a favorite play of mine by the other younger Roman comic poet who died young, but he left 6 good plays and 2 really great ones. In a play where part of the story is that one of 2 old men, brothers, had a wife on an island across the sea and a daughter by her. And he wanted his brother's son. Marriage of first cousins was quite common in the ancient world. He wanted his brother's son to marry this girl when he got her to Athens. And there would be no questions asked. There would actually be a dowry because the guy with this bastard girl has some money, so he can attach a dowry to her. And he has a dowered wife, who's one of the grand figures in all of comedy, ancient and modern. But he has had 2 wives, and his older wife is an important character at the end of this play. I'm not going to tell you the whole story of the play, but just this. He is a bigamist, and he's done everything he possibly could to get his illegitimate daughter. She's a legitimate Athenian citizen because her father is a citizen. Unfortunately, her father had an Athenian wife. at home, and that puts a cloud over this daughter. But his brother was ready to marry his son to the girl. And at the beginning of the play, his son is married to this girl. There's the irony. But the two old men think that the son of the other brother, Demopho, has married some poor girl without a dowry. And he's now married. And how he got married by court order, you can't get into that. There's a lot of law, in fact, in that play. But he is married to somebody else, and they can't marry him to his cousin. And in fact, it's his cousin who, with her mother, made her way to Athens looking for her husband. And she couldn't find him because when he was out on the island, he took a name, Stilpo. So she was looking for Stilpo of Athens. And there's no Stilpo of Athens. That was her husband Creamy's assumed name as the bigamist out on the island of Lemnos. So the son and his cousin find one another and are married, and the old men are trying to break that marriage so he can marry her. But no, the funny thing is that when they think that the son, Antiphon, is the son's name, that he has married a girl, a nobody girl, and they never learned her name. And now he has been forced to choose. His father says, "You got to get rid of her. We'll give her a dowry, and then you can marry a girl that I choose for you." And that, of course, is his cousin. And the father of the girl, when he hears, okay, this guy is married to someone that he was compelled to marry. He's married to her, but no, he's married to his daughter, because somehow he's got that much straight. He hasn't put the two things together, that the girl he has married is his daughter. He thinks that he's married a girl, and then is told that he's married to his daughter, but doesn't realize that they're the same thing. And one of the funniest lines in all of comedy, ancient or modern, is when this guy asks, Quid, duas uxores habet, does he have two wives? He's the bigamist, and he asks whether his nephew has had two wives. You're not laughing. It's funny. It's funny, but you have to be through the whole play, which is a favorite of mine. It's called Formio. And you better leave, because I can go on for a long time. You ask me a simple question and you'll get an essay. But I enjoy doing this. I don't get to teach anymore. I'm an emeritus at the University of Denver. So I don't get to teach anymore, so I get this kind of, I would say it's a substitution. It was always a compliment. I love to do this kind of thing when I had classes at DU. But now it's even more important for me to have an opportunity, for which I thank the law school for giving me.
Thank you very much, and hopefully thank you for your attention, everyone, and see you on Friday at 7, where we'll have a Greek trap.
Yes, some of you will entertain me.